Playing the soundtrack to your morning. This is Med in the Morning.
It's Med in the Morning here to Live 107.3, and TNA Wrestling is crisscrossing across the USA between now and the end of calendar 2026. We know the landing spots for the premium live events of Slammiversary, Lockdown and Bound for Glory, and we know where the television tapings are going to be taking place for the rest of the year. If you want to experience TNA live, it's simple to do. Head on over to tnawrestling.com, click that tickets tab, and grab your tickets whilst they can. They will sell out fast, so if you can't be there in person, you don't need to feel left out. You can catch all the action in the US on Thursday nights on AMC and AMC Plus, and in Canada, of course, on Sportsnet 360, and here in the UK and everywhere else around the globe, you can watch on TNA Plus. Joining us now to break everything down that's going on in the world of TNA is somebody who will be all over those dates, because she is the lady right in the middle of the action, calling those big name superstars from the back right into the ring, and then announcing the winners as well. She is the creator of the Headline by MM jewelry range, host of the Threads podcast, the author of the new must-read book Threads of Triumph, available now through Amazon and all good bookstores. Let's say a wonderful good morning to McKenzie Mitchell. McKenzie, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. Good morning. Thank you for the warm welcome. That was amazing. I mean,
Well,
you could
I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far. I'll give it a try. But I mean, I was trying to think about this, Mackenzie, last night. This must be 2026, a decade since you first arrived in TNA, what was probably an Impact Wrestling. Is that right?
Yes, it is. I think Slammiversary this year. I was just thinking about this before we did the interview. I think Slammiversary is 10 years for me, which is very crazy to think about. This young girl, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, trying to get into the wrestling industry, and now I've been in the industry for 10 years. It's been a whirlwind, but an incredible journey, I should say.
And how did this start? I mean, were you a fan of wrestling growing up? I know obviously you done, I think, was it broadcast journalism
Yeah, so
at uni?
I wasn't necessarily a wrestling fan. I went to school at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, hotty toddy in the States. And I got a broadcast degree there, but I was lucky enough at the same time as while I was getting my degree, I was working with the athletics program. So I was the MC for all of the baseball, basketball, football games. So I got really good life experience and that foundational, skill before I transitioned out of college. And so when I had graduated, my athletic director at the time, he said, "Mackenzie, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I want to work in sports, entertainment, or music." And he said, "What about professional wrestling?" And I said, "You know what? Let's give it a try." So I had an interview with TNA Wrestling. TNA was my first job right out of college. And again, I say that meaning I'm very lucky, because a lot of broadcasters, they don't get those opportunities right out of school. And for me, I was young and able to kind of learn and dive in head first and figure out what it is that I loved in the wrestling industry. And so I got to learn alongside of my growth in being in TNA and being in professional wrestling as a whole.
I mean, if we go back a decade, so just thinking back, that must have been JB, Jeremy Borash, you'll have been there. Dixie Carter will have been there. What, who guided you through this journey? Who worked with you to help you develop those skills from university and live events into the world of, at the time, what was a backstage reporter?
Sure. You mentioned one of the names, Jeremy Borash. He and I did our first, I guess, hyping up the crowd, if you will. I don't know if there's a better term for it, but we would come out to the fans, to the Impact Zone, and talk about getting excited for the matches or what action they could see. And so I learned a lot of that from JB in the shtick aspect, if we want to call it a shtick, of how to entertain an audience in these dead periods of such a crazy, thrilling show. But I also learned a lot from Rockstar Spud. I don't know if you remember that name.
I
He was
do.
he was Drake Maverick in the WWE. I think we called him at TNA Rockstar Spud. I have him in my phone as James Spud, so if that makes any sense at all. So Spud was always a guiding light for me. He said, "If you have any questions, please call me, and I'm happy to answer any questions," just because I didn't know anything. And I talk about this now when I laugh. My first live interview was a 30-minute Facebook Live with Jeff Hardy. And I had never done another interview. And I laugh about it with Matt and Jeff now, that like I had no business interviewing Jeff Hardy right out of college, not knowing anything about the business. But I also kind of learned on the fly. And I'm thankful for those opportunities that I got early days of TNA to now create who I am today in the wrestling industry.
It's crazy, and as you mentioned there, also like Rockstar Spud, yeah, absolutely amazing. He was very much a character, and
Yes.
wrestling is all about characters. And I was going to come on to this later, but now seems the perfect time to mention your brand new book, which has been out for all what maybe a month now, just shy of that.
Not even, I think a little bit over 2 weeks. So it's been crazy that it's finally a formidable piece. Not to cut you off, it's been a dream come true of finally bringing a first of its kind conversation to talking about the costuming and the gear and the wardrobe of professional wrestling. It's a conversation that's really never been had out in public, which is kind of bizarre to think about that because there's so many different gears and whether it's Slammiversary or Bound for Glory or WrestleMania, we're creating these moments. We're creating these pieces that when a superstar or a wrestler walks down the entrance, you go, wow, they're a larger than life character. And you want to know why they dress the way they do. So my book actually breaks that down. It talks about the psychology behind it and how fans sitting front row they go, oh, that person looks cool, but they're able to understand why they connect to that person a little bit more. So it's been brilliant in the way that everything has turned out. It's been a top seller on Amazon. I think we're still on the charts for new releases in sports, which is just mind blowing to me. But it just proves that there's an audience for this and people want to learn more. They want those untold truths that have never been heard before.
I mean, how important is it to get the look to match the character, and how much of the individual performer has to come into creating and crafting that look altogether?
Yeah, I think there's a big piece of the puzzle of the conversation that we've not had, which is the gear and the costuming. I think so many times everybody has their favorite WrestleMania or their favorite wrestling moment, I should say. We all talk about, oh, that match was amazing. Oh, I loved this moment at Bound for Glory. But no one remembers, I mean, not everybody remembers every move that was done in the match and every word that was said by the commentary team. But you remember how it made you feel. You remember those moments of, oh, they were wearing that cool jacket and they came out and Order 4 had this crazy mask. Like they remember those tidbits of information that goes along with the story point. It goes on and it really elaborates what that talent, that wrestler is trying to tell. And so I think that it's such a crucial part of the story. It's such a crucial part of the match that we haven't thought about it for a while. We remember the Macho Man Randy Savages that came out in the long capes with the sequins and the fringe, or Hulk Hogan wearing yellow and red for a reason. But you don't think about these moments unless you're really talking about it and how much it really adds to the character itself and the match itself, I should say.
And just when you mentioned, obviously characters just now, obviously the most obvious ones are the Hardys. I mean, they've got that such a unique look that they've cultivated throughout their decades-long careers now, wherever they've been. But one person I really want to get your take on just now is the youngest in charge, the X Division champion Leon Slater, because he has got such a unique look, not only in the ring, but making his way there. He's got that I call it that alien zip up hoodie, which really exemplifies what he does, defying gravity, that alien like stuff in the ring, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think you mentioned the Hardys. It's no secret that he's learned under the lineage of the Hardys. And so he understands that aspect of connecting to fans on a deep, deep level. Actually, Leon and I, before we became, now we're very close friends, and I absolutely adore him as a human and as a performer, as a wrestler. I think he has such a bright future. He's so articulate and he's so detail oriented and he's so talented in the ring. When you watch him, you're in awe of all of these moves and the way he moves. It's so fluid in the ring. But Leon and I we talk about gear and we talk about attire and wardrobe, even outside the ring. And he'll be like, if I get Mackenzie's stamp of approval, I know I'm wearing something that is right. So I compliment him quite often on how he shows up to the arena and what he's wearing to conventions. And then his in-ring gear, you're right, exactly. This alienistic, futuristic moment he's got with the unzipping of the jacket, and the beats just go with it. The entrance, the feel, the attire, it all just comes together and really foreshadows what you're going to see in the ring. And I think we're only seeing a small part of the future that Leon Slater has in this business. I think he's so talented, as I mentioned, on the roster, and I can't wait to see what he does.
He's absolutely incredible. And again, I was looking back at flicking through TNA Plus last night as I have it on in the background. If you haven't already, head on over to TNAWrestling.com. They've got the great new TNA Fast channel as well, showing some of the classic TNA action from yesteryear. And I was just looking at some of the iconic looks that we have seen in TNA wrestling. It's evidence that AJ Styles, phenomenal. But again, AJ, part of what makes AJ is again that hooded look, very 90s, but very modern at the
Yep.
same time. He's been able to keep that look and just tweak it throughout his career, hasn't he?
Exactly. And there's something to be said about consistency. I
Mm.
argue this point or talk about this point a lot. Is it harder to evolve and create such elaborate new looks on a weekly basis or for these capstone events? Or is it harder to keep the consistency? We think about Joe Hendry. He has it like of the white and the blue, and we know what it is. We understand it. We feel it. We dress like it. Fans can mimic it. But we wonder, is it harder for Joe to have kept this consistency a lot like AJ to know he's got this standard look on a weekly basis? Or is it harder to bring something brand new? I think that's a personal opinion of what everybody would say because I've gotten a lot of thoughts on this across the board. But you're right. I think in this new era, I think going back to Leon, something I want to mention is he connects to a younger demographic. He connects to the little kids. He connects to the Gen Z, if you will. And that's what we strive to do in professional wrestling is include all types of wrestling fans. And so I think what's old is new again in what we're wearing in our fashion. You're seeing the 90s, you're seeing the 2000s, the Y2K. And so bringing that in and connecting to the audience in all different ways and every age division and demographic, I should say, is really a unique perspective. And that's something that Leon does. And that's something that AJ Styles has done throughout time.
We are talking with McKenzie Mitchell. Do not go anywhere. It's mid in the morning here live 107.3. Lee, and very excited. We know where TNA Wrestling is going to be for the rest of calendar year 2026, which is fantastic because it helps me plan where I'm going to go for my summer holidays. Yes, it does. If you want to find out more, you can head online, tnawrestling.com right now. Click on that tickets tab, and you can see how you can get tickets to live events, including Bound for Glory Slammiversary and the return of Lockdown. It's heading to Chicago for the first time in what seems like forever since we've had a lockdown event. All the details, as we say, tnawrestling.com. I am joined, as she should still be here, by TNA's resident ring announcer, the beautiful McKenzie Mitchell. McKenzie, you still with me, my friend?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm glad to be here.
We're delighted to have you. I mean, we talked briefly there about your book, Threads of Triumph, available right now on Amazon and all good bookstores. How long a journey was it to get it from idea to conception?
Wow. So I had this idea for about 6 years, going back to my time in WWE, where I had this concept, this idea. It didn't really come to fruition in the way that we wanted it to come to fruition. And in 2024, I did Threads with McKenzie Mitchell, the podcast YouTube series that dives into the closets of some of your favorite celebrity figures, wrestlers, musicians, etc. And so I was interviewing Natalia Neidhart, and that's where the idea really formed and became a solidified piece. And she had mentioned, Mackenzie, you need to turn this into a book. And so I'm like, Natty, I don't know the first thing about writing a book, but sure, I'll figure it out. I wrote a 30-page book proposal, got a literary agent, and I got my contract with Chronicle Books, which is my publisher, in October of 2024. So I wrote from October of 2024 all of last year, which we talk about all the dates that are on the books for 2026, but all of the dates of 2025, I was in a corner writing on my computer, typing like a recluse. And that is why, as I was writing this book, I was creating this moment. I remember there was a time, I don't remember where we were exactly, but I was talking to the great hands and Mustafa Ali and Sammy Callahan backstage, and I'm like, they're like, what are you doing on your computer? I'm like, I'm writing a book. And they're like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, would you guys like to see a sneak peek? So I was able to get their perception and opinions on it and got that stamp of approval, if you will, from some of the guys in the locker room, which also made me feel good at the time as I'm just writing my fingers to the bone. So it was a process, but now to see it physically launched, it launched on April 7. It's been doing tremendous and people really have been appreciating it across the board. It's a dream come true for me.
I have ordered my copy. It should be here in the next couple of days. Cannot wait to get it well thumbed, if you pardon the expression. There's a couple of things. Time is against us, Mackenzie, but thanks for taking time. There's just two more things I need to ask. Firstly, when you returned to TNA Wrestling just over a year ago now, you came back as a ring announcer. When you started with the company, you were backstage. Do you have a preference? Now they've got the age of experience on it. What do you prefer doing best? What do you enjoy most? Or are they whatever the company needs?
I'm more comfortable with doing backstage
Hmm,
interviews. I think that's my bread and butter of my
okay.
career. For nearly 9 years, I was doing backstage interviews. So I always joke that I could do a backstage interview upside down, sideways, do it with my eyes closed because it's just something that feels very natural to me. I learned how to be conversational and connect
Hmm.
to an audience with my nonverbal without sometimes only saying a couple words. But when it comes to ring announcements, it's a brand new challenge for me. I've now been doing it for about a year and a half, and I finally feel like I've settled into what McKenzie Mitchell sounds like
Hmm.
as the TNA ring announcer. I think that so many times announcers, broadcasters, they try to mimic and be someone else. For me, that was always a finding out of as I was doing these at WWE live events and then even starting into TNA, like what does McKenzie Mitchell bring to the table? But now being able to really settle and go, this is what I do when I say the righteous. And we've been able to experiment and have this fun dynamic between. Or, of course, when the Hardys come out, how do I balance the sound with the fans just cheering so loudly? So I feel like they both have their pros, they both have their cons, but I'm really enjoying the challenge of doing ring announcing at this point.
Grand, absolutely grand. All right, here is the final thing that we do with each and every TNA superstar. Hopefully, you're up for this. I have in front of me the names of five TNA superstars. I would like to know the first thing that jumps into your head when you hear these names. Are you up for a quick fire round of the name game?
Let's try it. We'll see what we can do.
All right, name number one, Mara Shadi.
Marasha Day. Um, Growth.
Frankie Kazarian.
Can I cuss on here? A-hole.
Name number three, Harley Hudson.
Um, Bright future. Young, bright future.
Number four, EC3.
Nostalgia, um, but excitement. I don't know if this makes sense, but sure.
And the final name, the one we ask absolutely everybody, Mr. Smooth, Tom Hannifan.
Friend. How about that?
I like that. I like that. That is the name game with Mackenzie Mitchell. You can hear her each and every week on AMC, AMC Plus, and across the globe on TNA Plus as does the ring announcing for Thursday Night Impact. And of course, all of those premium live events. You can get your tickets for Thursday Night Impact and all those PLEs for the rest of this year by heading online right now to TNAWrestling.com. It's the place to go to keep up to date with everything that's happening in the world of TNA. And of course, head on over there to find out how you can subscribe to TNA Plus, over 20 plus years of total non-stop action for you to dip into anytime you want. Mackenzie, thank you so very much. I'm going to go through that book as soon as it arrives, and I shall ping you with some questions about it as well. Thank you so much for taking the time, Mackenzie Mitchell.
Please. Thanks so much.